End of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, folks, if you look on that gigantic, sharp, interactive board, you're going to see a new face. Today, I brought the CEO of PrintFactory. PrintFactory has a rip. I was able to see this rip in action at an industrial print site here in America, and I got to tell you something. This technology is phenomenal. The company's out of the Netherlands, and I wanted to bring the CEO, and he's actually here in the U.S. I think he wants to celebrate the holiday weekend with us. But Erik, it's great to have you on the show, and welcome to the End of the Day with Ray, and welcome to America.
Well, thank you for having me, Ray. I'm happy to be here and to talk about what's going on over here.
Well, you know, the industrial print space, inkjet space especially, has really just had explosive growth. You know, the things that we're able to do in industrial ink is just amazing. And, you know, I had the pleasure to work with your American colleague, Simon. He took me to a big print shop, and I saw him, you know, connect this rip to like 5 different devices, and they were printing all the same color and matching all this. Just amazing stuff. But I wanted the audience to get a little bit of a feel for who PrintFactory is. You know, there's a lot of talk about rips. You know, we all know the big story of Epson, you know, buying up Fiery, and you know, I think they're going to get some competitiveness because of that. But why don't you just share the story of PrintFactory and tell us a little bit about the direction you're going in, and then how your success here in America has been playing out.
Okay, good. Well, happy to do so. As we started back then, and that's already 35 years ago, we've entered into the area of rips. What we call rips, but actually are not rips. I will get into that a little bit later.
Okay.
I had my own shop trying to just make prints, which just make my life miserable. Really, really miserable. And I thought, I need to fix this, because otherwise my shop is going under. At the end, trying to fix that, actually, I created a company trying now to fix somebody else their problems by delivering an alternative solution. I think what eventually happened, and that's also why the term RIP is so misleading. A RIP should be just a processing unit, which turns a PDF into pixels and pushes that to the machine. Because of the limitations we had back then, we decided to take the RIP outside of the machine, put it on a computer, and be able to process it there. Then what we did, as an industry, me included, I must say, we start slapping on tools on it to make our life more convenient. A tool for this, a tool for that. And that's what the exciting part is of this inkjet industry, is every time we invent new things to print on. In the beginning, these were just simple posters. Now we have cups, we have caps, we have t-shirts, we have so many applications. And every time we invent something new, which is cool, which is exciting, I love it. But that also requires every time new software tools to prepare the jobs. And we keep slapping them on top of that thing we call the RIP, which makes what I feel the product like the monster of Frankenstein. It's containing all kinds of parts which shouldn't belong together, and actually everybody has a hard time to keep things running and to get something decent out of it. So that's my, let's say, big mission, which I'm trying to fix. Still in the process of fixing it, though. And that's where we started the company. We started initially as a technology provider to other vendors, to basically what we would now call our competition. And as they did not really share my vision where I wanted to go, in 2014 I thought, okay, what the hell, I'm going to do it myself. And took all the technology and started the company PrintFactory, taking the technology we developed for others and basically showing how it should be done. And luckily, this is what you see in a market like the US. It's perfectly fit for our vision or how we want to do it. Here we have companies which have usually multiple branches, multiple people running around trying to do everything and as easy and as convenient as possible. Because that's what I think way we want to go. We just want to make a print. We just want to sell stuff. We don't want to be the IT freak trying to play around with all the tools all day while the printer's sitting still.
Mm-hmm.
And even though that there are other countries in the world where people think that is the holy grail of where you need to go to, US means business, which means we want just to get things printed fast and convenient. And that really resonated. That was a perfect fit for our company, what we're delivering, and the market here.
Well, and you're all cloud-based, right? So the software lives in the cloud. Explain that a little bit, because I know there's a rip, if you will, out there. But it's, they got this big device. You got to have all this computer stuff. It seems like they're trying to sell a product versus trying to sell a solution to help someone manage color.
That, as I said, we need to be working on many fronts to make it possible to make a print. There are many steps in it. There's pre-press, there's color, there's the actual printing, you have the finishing, you have the shipping, the boxing, all these kind of steps. Doing that with multiple components, having that installed on your computer means that you have to be expert in all kinds of products, which are not necessarily that compatible with each other. Mm-hmm. So you're tinkering all day. That's where we said, okay, what is fundamental way to get away from all these problems is lift these applications into one ecosystem, into the cloud. So my guys, my IT guys, my software guys, they take care of the problems while our customers just get their job done. Unfortunately, the technology is not that far yet that everything can be truly done from the cloud. We can do the central management, we can manage the jobs and all these kind of things, but the data generated is that heavy that we need to do on-premises ripping of the actual ripping, so the converting of the PDF, making the colors right, etc., on-premises. And that's also where I think that the future will go. The future, we will have back, like in the old days, a printer with an embedded rip, which is just doing the processing, the heavy lifting on site. You get your box, you get your printer, you power it up, you connect it to the internet, and you're up and running. No installations, no hassle, no difficult stuff. That is where we want to go.
Well, that's interesting, because if you go there, and it sounds to me like you're a guy that's going to get where you want to go. So if you go there, wouldn't that enable you to embed that in that industry that I'm closer to, that business print, that laser print, if you will? I mean, could we see PrintFactory maybe embedded one day in an OEM's laser machine?
I am definitely, I'm 100% sure that will happen, because what you see, you see more and more that the industries are moving together. Mm-hmm. At customers, and we have that already in several countries, where people are not just doing large format, but they also use copier technology, laser technology, production streets, etc. Also high volume, small format production. And that is where we need to go. Everybody wants to have just machines which just print, where we are not tinkering, and that means going inside of the printer, having the embedded, and being delivered as of the manufacturer with the technology inside, more or less like what you had in the old days, where they said Intel inside. Mm-hmm. In the future, you would say PrintFactory inside. And you hook up to our cloud tools, which then manage all the jobs, the pre-press, and all the stuff needed for that.
Well, that's awesome, and I'm sure you're not going to tell me which OEMs you're talking to, but I'm hoping you're talking to all of our friends. And I will tell you that I think it's going to be important that whoever that Intel inside, as you say, PrintFactory inside, but whoever that is inside has to be pretty agnostic. I don't think they could necessarily be owned by an OEM, because then the other OEM, I mean, the conflicts involved with that. But I got to tell you, as we move, I believe that even in the business space, we're going to see more inkjet moving into that space. We see Kyocera with that, Tascalva 15,000C. They have some other high-end production, the 55,000C inkjet. So I think we're going to see more and more inkjet coming into this space. You guys are, you have a great product. It was just amazing to watch Simon hook that software up, if you will, in my layman's terms, to multiple different brands of machines, print the same exact thing on all those machines, and get the exact same color. And it wasn't an all-day project, which is kind of amazing.
No, and that is exactly what will happen, because that's why it needs to be agnostic. You need to be able to get your products done on all kinds of machines, because your customers don't have only one product. Yes, you have customers which buy only one product, but usually what you see, people buy different products, which you need different machines to do it, and it all needs to go from one source file, from one way of preparing your job, all the same color, all the same working, which means, and that's why we stay also agnostic on that, that can only be done by a product which is not linked to our manufacturer, so that we can treat every manufacturer to the biggest, get most of their machines. But in the same token, and that's where our focus is, it's for the customers. It's where I start off, being a print shop, making sure that their life becomes easier, even if they buy equipment from vendor A and vendor B in the same shop.
No, that's a great way, because it's all about customer experience. And it was great having you on. I think PrintFactory, it's an amazing software. I think you have some great potential. There's some situations going on in the marketplace, and people are looking at this technology more and more. And as the inkjet continues to explode and people are printing on, like you said, all kinds of different things, I think it's going to be an interesting path forward. So congratulations on your success. 14 years you started this thing. And is there anything you want to say before we end?
No, thank you for the opportunity. And I wish everybody a very enjoyable Memorial Day. Enjoy the long weekend. And thank you for your time.
Well, you too, my friend, because everybody watching me knows this: status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck there. And I'll see you all